What's going on, guys? I'm the mechanic, and today we are going to be making an exhaust for this turbo toaster. So let's get into it. Now it's time to start fabbing up an exhaust for our turbo. So basically, to start off, I have a flange. As you can see here, it's got a flange, a steel flange, and a gasket that I'll use. This basically just goes on to the end of the turbo here, and that'll allow us to start welding up an exhaust. So this is 3-inch. So we're gonna go with 3-inch piping. I'll be using 3-inch stainless piping here. It's gonna be a pretty intense welding project. Probably my first big welding project, I'd say. So now we have to figure out how I'm gonna do this.
And if we look through the side here, that'll give you a better shot there. So I want to go out from here at a downward like 45 and clear our steering rack here, or our tie rod. You can see there. So I want to go from here down and kind of use the same spot that the factory headers or factory exhaust manifold and exhaust went through, by coming down here, shooting it this way, and then going down through the vacancy where the old exhaust was. So I'm thinking basically to start off, since we have about 3 to 4 inches of clearance between where the exhaust comes out and the tie rod there, I kind of want to take, if this is the way the turbo is sitting and here's the tie rod here, I kind of want to put it at a 45-degree angle start, going like down. So if I cut a 45-degree in that tubing, tack it on here and have it going like a 45-degree angle down this way to try to get out of the way of the tie rod and angle ourselves down towards the bottom of the car a little bit more, towards that whole area. As long as I don't have it extending more than about an inch or so, because I don't have that much room to come out. I just have more room to go down. So if I cut 45-degree with just a little bit here, so it sticks up maybe half an inch from here, and then whatever rest of the thing is, so it'll kind of be like this, and then I can weld a straight or another angled piece onto that to turn it more if I need to. So let's get this on the bandsaw over there and see what we can do. All right, so as you can see here, got the jig all up here, and we got probably down here 1/4 to a 1/2 inch, I think, is what's gonna cut off. Never used this before, but you know, it is what it is. So let's use it. Kind of a test piece to get this all figured out here, but there's our little piece. Got about a 1/2 inch there, like I wanted. So all right, so now that we've got that piece done, I should probably preface this with saying that I am nowhere close to being a professional at any of this. This is my first time doing anything like this, and I honestly don't even know what I'm doing right now. I'm just cutting pieces and seeing if it works. So there's not going to be nice bends that you see in a normal exhaust. This might be very angular. That's probably what's going to happen here. So continuing on, I kind of put this piece in the car and kind of guesstimated that I want 9 inches for it to come down before I have to make an adjustment. So I'm just going to cut it at 9 inches there straight, and then figure out what I want to do next. I'll tack it up and see, or tape it up maybe before I tack it, and see what works out. So now let's get to cutting this one. So if we look up here, see our wastegate there. And I attached our flange and 90-degree piece up there, and you can see how close it was to the tie rod there. So that's why I had to do that 90-degree. Anyway, so that's where it puts us. To keep out of the way of our wastegate, I want to make like a 45-degree angle this way and kind of shoot it straight towards us here. And then once we get to like, I kind of want to bring it straight like right here to kind of give us room to just make a straight pipe almost to come down and put a dump tube for our wastegate like back here or something.
All right, so as you can see here, we got our two pieces. The efficiency piece, you know, max efficiency. That's the way I had to do it, and I'm not skilled enough to make that a bendy curve. And we've got our pretty much downpipe piece here, and they go together. I got this little mark on there roughly, but they should go together kind of like this in the car. And that should put it in like the tunnel area where the exhaust used to go from the stock exhaust manifold. But yeah, so I'm just gonna tack this in place right now because that's just gonna be the easiest way to see if it fits or not. If it doesn't fit, I'll cut the tacks, rotate a little bit, and hopefully that'll fit. It is really close to the drive shaft and everything, so yeah, not much room for error, but I've got like 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches to the drive shaft and about 3/4 of an inch to the underbody of the cab doing it this way. So yeah, we'll see what we got. Let's tack this into place.
All right, so coming underneath the car, got the exhaust here bolted on. You can see there we're touching our drive shaft, and that is not a thing that I would like to be touching. So I just made a slight miscalculation when I was welding that piece on there, which, you know, doesn't really matter. It was just really hard to see at what exact angle it needed to be and stuff. So yeah, so what that just means is I'm gonna have to cut it probably halfway right there and then add a like 22 degree turn to bring it to straighten it up kind of like right in here. That should come over here, and then I'll use the rest of whatever I cut off there to extend it towards this, behind this fender. So let's try that.
All right, so I just added this 20-degree bend right here just to angle our 45, the end of this kind of away from the plastic fender. So it's kind of come back at an angle, and then we should be able to get like a 6-inch exhaust tip, and that'll run exactly to like the edge of the car, which will be nice. So yeah, just gonna get this welded real quick. Now we can test with this last piece onto the final exhaust, and then we can tack up the entire exhaust. It's gonna go on just like this. Not like that, but like this. Roughly. You can see here, puts it somewhat level, an exhaust tip
to the end of it to bring it all the way out to the rest of the car here.
Now, we can throw it back in the car, see if it fits. If it does, we will finish weld all of these seams. Great. This is where it comes out. And then we put maybe even a 12-inch tip on it, and it'll bring it out to the edge of the car, pretty much. So, and that's easy to do because we have this long straight piece that just clamp right on the end of there. We got this long straight piece. And this bar, as you can see, even though it's really dirty, it doesn't get hit. No scrapage on that bar. So this will keep it up and away. As you can see right there, even if it's sagged the most it can, which it's not going to rest there when I tighten down all the bolts, but that's still only maybe half an inch lower. And that's kind of where the bottom of the gas tank is here, so not really worried about scraping because it does have quite a big of a ground clearance there. So yeah, now that it fits in the car, we can take it out and finish welding it. There we go. Got our exhaust welded up. Now he's got to throw it in the car, and yeah, we're ready to rip with this thing. One other thing I do have to do though is find out where I want to put the O2 bung. I might use both the narrowband and the wideband from the element off the cat, or off the section that had the cat on it. And then I'm going to have to weld in another O2 bung for our AEM gauge, which in another video I route all the wires and get those all wired up. But now we just need to put the sensor on the exhaust for that. So yeah, this is it for the welds. Here, I'll take you around the welds real quick. This thing was very tricky to weld. As you can see here, got some decent welds. Got some decent welds out of it. Very, very interesting. I mean, I'm not a master at all, but if you stayed in one spot just like a quarter of a second too long, it would burn a hole right through, and then you'd have to patch it. So that's where this stuff would come from. Having to patch those holes, which is just absolutely the worst thing. So let this cool down, then we'll throw it in the car and then see where we want the O2 bungs to be. So right now, just marked out spots, easily accessible spots, at least 16 inches. I think this one's like 25 inches from the open end. You want at least 16 inches in for the O2 sensors. And so, yeah, right now I'm drilling the hole for our bung for our AEM gauge, but these two, this one's for our wideband and this one's for our narrowband, and we're going to be reusing that with our aftermarket ECU. So yeah, just drilling holes with a step bit, and then I'm going to put the bungs in here and weld them on in. So see here, just got our hole drilled. It's pretty big, but it just has that outer or that inner recess that kind of just falls into place in there. You can see there's a little bit of a gap, but I should be able to weld that no problem. I think these are better. These are better than the ones that have a coping radius, just because they never get the coping radius right for the type of pipe that you're using. So anyway, throw that bad boy on there, and we'll weld it on real quick. So now that we got our actual exhaust finished, it is time to do the exhaust for our wastegate. It's time to do the exhaust for our wastegate right there. So to do this, I have, I think, 1 3/4 pipe that I'm just gonna try to snake kind of directly downwards and in this little gap here. So I'm gonna turn it to come down straight through here, right next to the oil pan, or kind of like dump out onto the ground right here. So yeah, let's get that started. So I think I'm gonna have it go straight for about 6 or 7 inches. Let's get this bad boy on the bandsaw. Now we're gonna weld our V-band flange onto the end of this pipe. So now we're going to cut a 60-degree angle to off of our straight pipe to come down and towards the bottom of the car. This is what our final piece looks like. Kind of sits up in there like this. And yeah, this end kind of points to the ground just like that. Finish weld this whole thing. And don't really judge me on the welds this time because I am out of gas. And MIG welding without gas is pretty terrible.
So if we come under here, we can see I cut that pretty much flush with the rest of the K-member.
All the way up in there, you can see that style clamp. The one that came with the kit was really hard to put on there. And once we got it on there, tightened it down, got a little bit tight, and then the hinge just snapped on it. So if you found this video informative, please be sure to like on the video, subscribe to the channel for more. And remember, no matter your experience or your skill level, keep on improving.